Hey everybody, it's Tuesday.
And welcome to this week's edition of The Night Bite.
I'm Josh.
And I'm Emily. And gosh, thanks for bearing with us tonight. My voice is still a little bit hoarse from this weekend. For those of you who joined us live, we were doing some videos from the St. Paul Ice Fishing Expo because that happened. And there was a lot that went on. So
Yeah,
I did a lot of chat and fishing and lost my voice.
Yeah, well, you can tell between the two of us who talks a lot more because my voice is fine. And so I must have a lot more practice. But no, it was a really fun show. It was a really busy show. But we are looking forward to this weekend for sure. Like it's going to be a lot different for us because we won't be stuck in one spot. We'll be able to talk with a whole bunch of people. We're going to be able to do a lot more videos. So that's going to be, all that is going to be fun.
Well, and we actually heard at the expo this past weekend that there's a lot of people that, even though they were in Minnesota, that they will also be joining us in Wisconsin. So the nice thing about this is that these expos really do kind of complement each other in the way that, you know, there's a few coming up that maybe you didn't see last weekend, or if you were looking for a specific product or something, there might be one more chance before the holiday season. So, you know, I guess with that, the big, should I say the elephant in the room, is that, you know, ice fishing is upon us. And so everyone is kind of having to make that choice. Do I go to my favorite local fishing hole? Do I go to the expo? And the nice thing about the weekend is that there's 2 days, so you can do one of each.
3 days.
Well, I guess, I mean, as far as the expo wise, yeah, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So there's 3 days for that. Some people work Fridays. That's all right. You know, never know. But all those opportunities are there, and we will be there each of those days. And there's been so much different information shared out on the Wisconsin Ice Fishing Expo Facebook page. But if there is specific information that you are looking for, you can go and check out icefishexpo.com.
Yeah, absolutely. There's maps, there's times. You can buy tickets online still. I know they offer cash at the door. So any one of those. There's shuttles from the parking lot to the venue. We have 2 buildings this year, which is awesome. And yeah, everything's shaping up to be a good weekend. So I can't wait. Oh yeah, Brent, Snowy is right.
Well, and that's a really great point because, you know, we were talking about the possibility of ice fishing coming up this weekend. And, you know, like we're saying, 'tis the season, but I couldn't let this part of the site or the show go by without an actual fishing report, because I have actually heard from quite a few local people. Yeah, I have an up-to-date fishing or ice report, I suppose.
I don't even have that.
Yeah, I do. I talked to 2 different people today that were out within the past 24 hours, I suppose. Yesterday afternoon and today. And what I am hearing, at least in our area, is about very inconsistent ice. So Brent was saying good snowy evening, and why that made me think about this is because the reports are that we only had some snowy patches on our ice right now. You know, we had a huge amount of wind that really pushed things around. And so the people that were out were finding, you know, you go with your spud bar and it's like 4 inches, 5 inches, you know, whatever. And then all of a sudden they would go straight through in the snowy spots. And, you know, part of that is that snow creates that insulation, and that ice, that thickness can really vary. So we always talk about no ice is 100% safe ice, right? You always go out and be safe and practice all the good practices. But especially in this early season, ice can be super inconsistent as it builds. And with the snow coming on top, it's a little bit harder to see where those patches will be. So again, a great time to have all the safety gear. And if you're not sure where to start, there's probably going to be somebody at the expo that can help you with that, and a seminar to join. So we are looking forward to all those things. And I guess I'm not really looking forward to the rest of snow, but what can you do?
What can you do?
So with that, people at home, let us know where you are at, what your ice reports are, or what your fishing reports are if you've been out, because we are always interested in that. But we have so many people excited for our guests this evening, so let's bring them in. Matt, thanks so much for being here with us.
Hey guys, thanks for having me again. It's always a pleasure.
It is. And you know what's so funny? This past weekend, I feel like I ran past your booth like 100 times because I was
Mhm.
kind of going between two different spots. And
Yeah.
it was busy enough that we really never even got the chance to chat this past weekend. So that was so funny. And so it's so great to be here with you this evening.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it was definitely busy. I mean, it reminded me like Saturday, specifically of like the pre-COVID, the amount of traffic we had through the building was, more than I've seen in a long time. So, yeah, that was definitely fun. But yeah, I didn't get to have conversations with a lot of the people that I normally do. So, I look forward to this next weekend and, kind of hope it's really the same. And I think it will be. Everyone's got that itch. I think the ice, it's definitely colder weather than what we had a year ago. And yeah, the snow does kind of stink. It's like I was telling Josh earlier, like it's coming down pretty hard here. We've got a good 4 inches, just in the last like 4 hours. So, and it's wet and heavy stuff. So not the stuff I like to see, but yeah, I mean, 'tis the season, right?
Yeah, not getting away from it, I guess.
No.
So, Matt, we have talked to you a few times, and
Mhm.
I guess I'm going to ask a question that maybe I haven't asked before, but I'm interested. What made you get into batteries and power and all of this in the first place? How did we end up here today?
Yeah, so myself, I can't just say myself, like myself and Brandon, one of my partners here. We've been we worked with tech companies in the past, and prior to starting this, there really wasn't much out there in batteries for portable fishing, right? So that was where working with a tech company, I started doing my own thing on the side and, came up with, at that time, it was like, that was when we started Energized Outdoors. So we play with some stuff, and there was just such a demand from people that I knew, even though I was just kind of sourcing it for myself and others. But we decided, we might have something here. And, just over the years, we've been able to develop this lineup that we have. And it really started with ice fishing. So a lot of people may not know us. I mean, up here, everybody knows us for ice fishing, right? But, in other places, they don't really know the small battery lineup that we have. And it's probably the most diverse lineup out of any battery lithium company. There aren't too many that really focus on this industry. So I always had a passion for ice fishing, a little bit, even a little bit more than open water. So that's really where it started. And, at the time we started, it was like 2017, 2018. We're just like breaking the ice with forward-facing sonar. So we really saw the need to have power, right? Something that's going to last all day, where a lead acid battery really wasn't going to give you that. So that's kind of how we started, and just always evolving, especially up here in the north. It's so much different than battery suppliers from around the country. They may not be familiar with, the northern climates and the needs in ice fishing. So we came up with this plan, and we're going to stick to it.
Well, and that's in my mind, that's how you can tell that it's such a quality product in the first place, right? Because we hear so many of these stories start out the same way, right? Oh, my buddies were asking for something and I was able to provide some kind of product, and then it just kind of snowballed. And it just seems like, just like everything else, like the cream rises to the top. And like we were there, like when you were first at St. Paul, Energized Outdoors, you were the one-man booth with a couple of batteries on your table. And by the end of the weekend, you were just talking to people because all of the stuff that you brought was gone.
Yeah.
And it kind of just snowballed from there. And it's been really fun to not only be friends with you, but just watch your business grow and have your business grow like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one great thing about being at the show there. You're able to talk to so many people, hear the needs that they have, right? And, you can easily develop product for that. And that's what we've done. And yeah, many others you've had on the show and in this industry. I mean, that's exactly, you're spot on. That's how they start off, right? And when you make a quality product, I mean, that's always important. Back it up with good quality support. I mean, we stand behind that. And that's really helped us grow, and cannot appreciate, everybody watching out there that's been running our products, that we grow through, the word of mouth, and, people sharing their stories, and we just love to see that. Yeah.
Yeah, that is awesome. And kind of what you were saying a little bit is because I love your background story, because sometimes people, especially if you follow online and stuff, you hear of Ant Outdoors. You're like kind of one of the big names in the field, and so sometimes I think people associate, big name, big company, and they
Yeah.
forget that, the expertise and the human element, and the fact that you are local to the Midwest, all of
Mhm.
those things are so cool.
Right, right, absolutely. Absolutely. So yeah,
So
kind of right in the heart of the ice belt, right here in Hudson. So I mean, it really worked out. I mean, there are a lot of fishing companies, Strikers out of here. I know I'm missing another one that, in the ice industry that's kind of based out of this area. So and of course, you know a lot of it right in Minnesota, right over the border. So yeah, we're kind of in the heart of the ice belt, so it just works out great.
that's a cool claim to fame for your hometown,
Right?
the center of the ice belt.
Yep. Yep.
So as far as the expos, the nice thing is that, people get to see everything out in one place. So when you go to the website, because there's tons of information there, there's tons of good stuff there. You can see, the different options, but sometimes people just need to see it in person, or, see it all in one place. So that is going to be a great way to do that. Are you going to have everything at the expo?
Oh yeah, we'll have the whole assortment of not just the small stuff, but we'll also display a lot of our larger batteries. Majority of we'll have all the ice fishing product there, so we'll have plenty of product for everybody to buy. There are a couple of items that might be a little bit limited for the show, but we partnered up with Thorn Brothers, who have a booth right across from us, so we'll be selling all of our product from our booth through them, which we typically do for that show. And we'll have the large batteries there. There'll be some, promo codes, exclusively to that event. So if you show up and if you're looking for open water batteries for in spring, you can get a jump on it, get a great deal to get those shipped out to you. So yeah, we'll have that, and then yeah, we'll have our experts there, so you can see our entire product lineup. You can touch it. You can, you know, talk about it, and we'll get you into the right technology to really fit your application. There's a wide assortment. I just brought the most popular six and have them sitting out here, but yeah, you'll be able to see all of it right at the show.
Well, and I kind of laugh when you say, and you can touch it, because it's like it's a
Yep.
battery. Like, what do you need to know about it? But that, to some extent, is the most important part, or I guess the most shocking part, is how much it really does reduce weight from a traditional. Do you call it a lead acid battery, right?
Yeah. Yeah, a lot lighter than lead acid. And I think, that was a great selling tool that we had like 5 or 6 years ago, where we'd have a lead acid battery and a lithium. And honestly, I don't think we brought in a lead acid battery to the
That's
show. And, that, I might have to just do that again so people can kind of compare, because I think, it's not like it was then where it's just introduced and, people, there's so many misconceptions that they're not safe and they don't last as long or not as good in cold. And we all know that now that, that they are extremely safe. They do great in the cold. In fact, better than most lead acid products out there. Um, but yeah, incredibly lightweight, and yeah, even had that this morning. I didn't have it, but I was looking online on Facebook, and somebody posted something out there. It's like, is this 52 amp hour battery? It's so small. Is this really going to last me a full day? And like, just reading, there are like 50 comments on there saying, "Oh my gosh, I have that same battery. It's going to last 2 or 3, 4 days, right?" So yeah, it's kind of there's that misconception because they are so small. Is this really going to last? Oh my gosh, yeah. With the technology we have today, you can pack a lot of power in small form factor, and you'd be surprised what you can get out of some of these products.
It is kind of funny, because I think the other thing that people realize in this process is sometimes how much power their electronics do draw.
Yeah.
And so if you are kind of new to that whole process of matching up, maybe new to you equipment, to the batteries that you need, where do you go about starting on that?
Yeah, so I mean, we have operating time charts like at all of our retailers, and it's even on the front page of our website. So if you go on there, I actually have one near me here. So like there's this chart that we have, and it might be hard to see there, but you can see this right on our website. So we'll have like all the most popular fishing electronics listed on it with all of our batteries, and it'll tell you how long they're going to last per charge. or the estimated operating time, and we're very conservative with those numbers. So we'll say with a 10-inch screen and live scope, this 30 amp hour battery is going to last you 10 plus hours. Well, it's not uncommon to get significantly longer operating time than that, but there are so many variations of product out there. Like you said, they draw so much more power than they ever have in the past. So people are using larger screens. I mean, 2 or 3 years ago, the largest screen somebody was bringing out on the ice was 9-inch, and everyone thought that was insane, right? Because we're used to having like 4, 5, 6, 7-inch screens, 9-inch, and now 9-inch is small. It seems like everyone's buying a 10-inch, and I'm even seeing 12-inch screens out there. So as you go up in screen size, yeah, they're going to draw a lot more power, but we really have everybody covered, with the larger 30, 32, 52 amp hour batteries. So yeah, you can easily get one that'll last you a full day, if not, an entire weekend. So you have that weekend warrior that doesn't have the opportunity to charge while using it, or while being out. We'll have a product for you that will last. So yeah, we can definitely pair you up with that right one. But yeah, you can go right to our website, ampedoutdoors.com, and right in the front page, if you scroll down, you'll see our operating time chart for for all the most popular electronics.
Yeah, well, and you were talking about, that battery, how long it'll last. And you mentioned,
Mhm.
the weekend warrior, and that's maybe exactly the case, but also those people who are ice camping. There's
Mhm.
so much more of that these days. Or, you see some online, sometimes people go out like remote areas, searching for fish. And, often that conversation is about like, well, I don't know if I need my cell phone, I can make heat, I'll bring food, that's good, but how do I power all my equipment? And so when there are options for that, but like you're saying, when they're compact, when they're light, when they're small, and they just can fit and be portable like that, that is so cool and allows
Mhm.
people to do those fun things.
Yep, yep, absolutely. And you'd never be able to do that with lead acid. I mean, people were carrying car batteries out of the ice, right? And it's just when you're ice camping, you're going to have so much stuff as it is. It's nice to keep everything small, compact, and lightweight. So yeah, we definitely got a lot of solutions there, and a lot of our larger products are becoming popular for ice fishing too, and ice camping. So like I've had people buy 60 up to 100 amp hour products, which are still small and light in size, 15 to 25 pounds, that they'll carry out in the ice or put in in their ice houses, their permanent shacks, for powering stuff for an entire weekend. So yeah, there's definitely something out there to fit your needs. So yeah, reach out to us if you're at the show. That's probably the best time to talk to somebody, because then we can really pair you up and you can get hands on with the stuff and really see what it's about.
Well, and one of the fun parts, at least from my aspect, everybody knows that I'm kind of like a tinkerer and stuff. And with the availability of 3D printers and things like that, like
Mhm.
the big thing right now is like those battery generators, right? Like you
Yeah.
can go online and they have like one brand name's like Jackery, and it's basically just a big lithium battery that has different ports in it and some circuitry that allows you to put in like different plugs and stuff. But with the 3D printing, people are making their own little boxes like that, custom boxes to do ice camping and put some of your larger batteries in them. And it's just really cool to see the creative process that people go through,
Yep.
to just fix your product to fit their needs throughout the season, really.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, one of them that'll be at the show, I think it's yeah, Ice Hole Power will definitely be there. I'm not sure if there are going to be others, but there are battery box companies out there that have been doing it for a real long time. And yeah, you could stick some of our larger batteries in their packs, or even fit like 330 amp hour batteries in their packs. And they'll have, the ability to, charge your other electronics, power your LED lights and all that. So there's a lot of solutions out there. And it is fun at the shows to see everyone's creative ideas and 3D printed stuff. I mean, we get different shuttles and stuff and boxes and all that that'll come through that people are putting the stuff into. So it's always fun to see, because I think ice fishing, we're more creative than most other, I don't know, most other I don't want to
Industries,
say
yeah.
sports and industries. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Well, and
we are a creative
that's one
bunch.
of our favorite parts about ice fishing and just fishing in general, is that not only do we all share a passion for the outdoors, but we share a passion for being able to make that more accessible for bringing people in. Like, we want everybody to love the outdoors and fishing as much as we do. And so to be able to create something that might help someone down the road do that, that's kind of one of the great aspects of anglers in general. So yeah, it's a really fun community to be a part of.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of creativity out there this year. I mean, I didn't get to walk around much. I hope to do it this next show because honestly, this is the first ice season that I've gone this far into the season, done shows since I think like the first one was a week before Halloween, and I haven't purchased a single thing yet at a show. So this is the weekend that I do have a list. I do have things I have to pick up some stuff, even get some gifts. So yeah, but I really do look forward to looking around. I haven't done it much, but what I have seen, the bobber buddy guys, they've got that, one that'll you use your live scope hole to, turn it, and seen a lot of new tackle out there, and yeah, I think this will be the show. And it's different than a lot of the other ones that we have here locally, like right in Minnesota, 'cause so many from Minnesota, North Dakota, South Dakota, Eastern Wisconsin. I mean, you have more and quite a few smaller like independent companies and retailers carrying unique stuff that you don't see anywhere else. So yeah, I'm pretty jacked up for this show. Not only because it's the last one of the year and I can get some rest afterwards, but yeah, seeing all the cool new product there. I mean, there's really a lot to see and a lot of cool vendors.
Well, and that's a great point, and thank you for pointing that out. Like, I think the team that works on putting this show together does spend a lot of time finding all of those unique vendors that you, like you said, you aren't going to find anywhere else. Like, this is the place to see it, and some of them don't even like have Facebook or anything. Yeah. Like, you have to like know somebody to get a hold of these guys. So like, so it's really cool in that way. And I think I forget that because Emily and I get to walk around and talk, like it's our job to go around and talk to everybody all weekend. Yeah. So it just makes us so excited to go see that. So thank you for pointing that out. That's awesome.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, we're going to have, I'm not going to be doing a presentation or anything at the show, but we do have Steve Becker, who is going to be joining us at the booth, but they're also, I think, Sunday at 11 a.m., I believe is when the presentation is, or seminar to call it. They're going to be doing one on batteries for, specifically for ice fishing. They're going to talk a lot about like clean power, how to choose the right battery, but more so like he's done an awesome job doing seminars in the past on rigging electronics and talking about clean power and the advantages of lithium versus lead acid, not just in ice fishing, but also your boat. So we'll have that seminar. If you don't know Steve, he's got a pretty good background with that stuff. So, I worked with him a little bit on that to put something fun together. So yeah, if you're going to the show, definitely check that out on Sunday.
Yeah, I highly suggest doing that. Emily and I were battling with problems with clean power in the boat all year. Like I was like having to smack the side of my Humminbird, and it's from 2016. So I'm starting to think like my head unit's going out, and every once in a while it would work and then it wouldn't. And right at the end of the season, I was just like, well, I'm just going to unhook this thing and I'm just not going to use it. And then, so I pulled the battery out, and then I was like, okay, well, I got to put it back together, but I don't have the battery in the boat anymore. So I'll just hook it up to my starting motor and it'll be fine. And then the stupid thing worked for the rest of the season. And it just happened to be that battery I was using was not very good. Like the connection, how, the battery was just bad or something. And that's what was causing the problem. And so I highly suggest going to that seminar if you guys are attending on Sunday.
Yeah, and they've got a pretty good lineup of other seminars. So yeah, depending on traffic and everything, I hope to pop out, maybe connect to one or two of them and check them out. I always like to see some of those because yeah, I mean, you don't often get a lot of those experts kind of all in one space. Especially on that side of the state, right? They don't have as many shows with a lot of these guys coming over who are ice experts. So yeah, that'd be awesome to see. Absolutely. And you were talking about clean power. Yeah, I mean, in ice fishing, it's easy because when you're putting a lithium battery like in a shuttle like this or in your Vexilar unit, you have a 6 to 12-inch cord.
Yeah.
So it's really hard to mess that up. But believe it or not, we run into the things all the time. Just my word of advice, when you're getting set up at the beginning of the season, and maybe even check it, regularly throughout the season, because these things get thrown around. They're in your sled. They get moved around. Some of those connections can come loose. So just make sure your connections are nice and tight on your electronics, and free of corrosion. Because anytime you have like loose connections, that'll create resistance, and resistance can mean reduced operating time or performance. You could get a fuzzy screen, your screen could shut down, or you have problems like that. So definitely check those things out. Yeah, if you haven't already, make sure those batteries are charged, right? Do that for the first time you go out, and make sure everything's in good shape. And yeah, if it is time to get a new battery, I suggest do it before the season, because the products are pretty popular this year, as they have been every year. But we're seeing just record numbers of people buying, and that's probably because it's we're going to have seem to be an early ice season, hopefully a long extended ice season. But everyone's jumping on it, and we've got some products that are going to be a little bit limited coming up in the next few weeks.
So then as far as things like durability and maintenance, you're talking about using this for equipment, having to keep up with you and all that kind of stuff. So can you tell us, is it durable? And then how do you keep it in good condition? How do you take care of it through the year? You mentioned make sure it's charged up now. Are we supposed to be doing that through the year?
Yeah, no, that's a great thing, because the number one issue that we see with the battery products, and this is lead acid, AGM, lithium, is the proper storage, right? So they're very reliable products as long as you're using them properly and maintaining them. There are a lot of companies out there that say, "Oh yeah, there's no maintenance in a lithium battery, zero maintenance," or they'll advertise it that way. And it is true to an extent. Like, you don't have, a wet cell battery that you have to fill and, worry about maintaining that way. But the worst thing you probably do for a battery is storing it fully depleted. And the most common thing that I see is, like, end of ice season, I just take my electronics and I put them on a shelf, right? And don't touch them again until 10 or 12, 9 or 10 months down the road, right? Because ends in, say, March, and then you're not touching it again until sometimes December, January again. So that's probably the worst thing you can do, because you got to understand that when a battery is attached to electronics like this, even when they're turned off, they'll draw power, right? Or if you put it on the shelf and the battery's dead, it's going to be stored at a fully depleted state for a long time. And that's never good. So we did a nice video this last fall on proper battery, maintenance and storage for long term. The best thing to do is to charge your battery, right? If you can charge it, 40 to 80%, that's ideal. And then disconnect your electronics from it. So, like in a shuttle like this, even though it has a power switch on it, you can bump that power switch. Something could happen where it turns on. It's just good. Pull one of the power cables off so nothing's attached to it, and then check your battery like every, say, 60 to 90 days is really all you have to do. Maybe throw a charger on it for 15 minutes. Just keep that battery, up to a higher voltage. It's the biggest problem that we see, like I said, is storing it completely dead for a long period of time, because then in long-term storage, if it's fully depleted, that could just decrease the life expectancy of it, as well as reduce your operating time, just because the voltages get too low in the battery pack. Sometimes it's not recoverable, and we've seen that with, it's not a specific brand or anything, but it'll be with any battery out there. Lead acid batteries are obviously going to, there's a reason why most of them don't last more than 2 years. A lot of times people are drawing them down to too low a voltage. With lithium batteries, they, if you deplete it 100%, the battery will shut down, but it's still not good to store it fully depleted. So as far as maintenance goes, it's probably the one thing. If you take care of the charging aspect of it, do not leave it attached to electronics when you're storing it for a long period of time, and make sure that battery has a charge on it. I mean, it's not uncommon to get 10 plus years out of them.
Mm. And did you mention about leaving it on the charger itself?
No, I'd never recommend leaving a lithium battery on the charger all the time. So you get, yeah, I mean, that's a very good question. So we get that often. It's with a lithium battery when you're charging it, when it's fully charged, it's going to shut that charge rate off, right, and not take a charge again, and until it needs it. But when you leave it on the charger, you're essentially keeping that battery at 100% charge state. And I like to say a lithium battery likes to breathe after a full charge. So yeah, I'd say shortly after, whether it's a day, 2 days, 3 days, whatever. Once that battery's fully charged, just take everything, just take the charger off of it. And, if you don't have something drawing power off of it, I mean, that thing's going to store and sit there just fine. I've had batteries, in testing that will fully charge. I'll put on the shelf and then have done 2 or 3 year tests to see where it's at after 2 or 3 years. And sometimes those products are still at 90% charge after sitting for 2 or 3 years. Now it's not good for it. They like activity. You want to keep the products active as you can, but it just goes to show you that if there's nothing attached to it, they're not like a lead acid battery where they're going to drain down real quick over time. They will hold their charge and maintain that charge for a pretty long time.
Mm-hmm. And as far as going into ice season, does the cold affect them very much? Like you hear of sometimes with ice augers that people are putting batteries and coolers with heater packs. Is that something we have to think about for our giraffes?
Yeah, it's a little bit different. So we use the same lithium chemistries in what we have here, to what like your drill batteries are. So the drill batteries are typically an NMC lithium, which we carry NMC. They're great in cold weather. You will lose capacity in colder weather, obviously, and with any battery. A lot of times, like with drills, they draw a lot of current or a lot of power, right? So when they're cold, and you're using that, it has more of an impact on that than say your electronics. So your electronics will usually draw significantly less power, and as you're using it, you may notice that the voltage will increase on your screen. So when the battery is really cold, it might show a lower voltage, but as you're using it, the battery is naturally heating itself through resistance, and you'll see sometimes the voltage even increasing as you're using it. So, I mean, if it's extremely cold outside, you can lose 10 to 20% of that battery's overall capacity. One recommendation that I have with products like this is, you don't have to put hand warmers or something around to keep them warm, but instead of throwing it in your truck at night, if you're going to be going fishing the next day, leave it somewhere warm and then just bring it out when you go fishing. And that battery, while it's being used by your electronics, will naturally heat itself, and you'll extend your operating times. Or if you have it out in extreme cold and then you go to use it, that's going to have more of an impact on it than if the battery was warm when you started using it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That is something that Josh does. That's why we look at each other, is because it's helped us with like our checklist, so to speak. Like you hate getting to the lake and realizing that you forgot something, right? Like nobody wants that, because that's always the one most important thing you didn't expect to forget. And so, when you can get through like specific routines, that's something that's helped us. So like our ice shacks, some of our baits, things can stay packed up and maybe even in the car sometimes. But like you're saying, our electronics are always that very last thing that we bring. So whether it's a Vexilar, whether it's a live scope, whether it's our, batteries for either auger, whatever it is, those are the last things that we put in the car. But like I said, it's one of those things where I'm like, check, 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 and so once you can get that routine in, I kind of like that.
Yep. And no, that's great. I mean, I honestly, like, maybe do a poll, like find out how many people have a checklist. I'd be surprised if, I don't know, what do you think? 10% of people have a checklist before they go out on that? I definitely don't.
Mine's
but
just
no, that's good. That's really good. I wish more people were like you. The biggest thing, one thing I did forget, we were talking about, cold and maintenance. The charging side of it, that's the one thing with cold weather you have to be the most careful with, because your lithium batteries aren't going to charge below freezing. They're perfectly safe to use below freezing, right? But as far as charging goes, you definitely want to bring the product inside, let it warm up so the internals are above 32 degrees, and then put it on the charger. That'll not only increase the life expectancy of the product, but we do have a lot of our batteries that they will not charge below freezing. So if you try to connect it, it may not show that, it may show that it's not charging. So don't try to put keep your product outside and throw it on the charger in your garage. Definitely bring your electronics in, charge indoors. That'll help extend the life expectancy of the product and ensure the battery does charge when you want it to charge.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. It's a common question, especially in January. I plugged it in last night. I woke up next morning and nothing charged into my battery. Well, it's because it was charged outside, right? So definitely don't want to do that. And sometimes you don't think about it because a lot of you're charging your lead acids and stuff. So one other thing to put on your checklist.
There you go.
Yep.
Okay, so as far as people who might be looking for gifts for friends and family, is there a battery that you point to that's like best all around or good for a gift? Like if you don't have a specific craft or something in mind?
Yeah, that's a great question. Another one I don't think has been asked before. Now we do have gift cards on our website, but as far as the batteries go, if it's let's just say a flasher, like your traditional Vexel or Markham or Humminbird flasher, there are two models that are the most popular. We have an 8 amp hour and we have a 15 amp hour battery. They'll fit in any of your flasher units. And I would say, the 8 amp hour is my favorite because it's so light. At 2 pounds on a flasher, you're going to get about 35 hours of operation on it. The 15 amp hour, for those extended weekend warrior guys and gals, it's going to give you closer to that 70-hour mark on a flasher. We got a lot of people out there with digital screens that are like 5 to 7, even 9 inches. If you have a digital screen, say like Helix 5, 7, 9, or like the Markhams have their, and Garmin, they'll have their smaller screens. I would go a 15 amp hour battery. And then if it's a forward-facing sonar unit, Lowrance, Humminbird, or Garmin, that's where we get into like we have a 20, 30, 32, 52, and it all depends on your screen size. So if you're running a 9-inch screen, I'd say like the 20 amp hour for 10 plus hours, 30 amp hour is going to give you 15 plus hours. And then we have the 3252 for the weekend warriors that are 20, 30 plus hours. Once you get into the 10 and 12-inch screens, that's where most people are doing 30 amp hour to 52 amp hour because you really have to have that higher capacity to get through a full day. This is a 10-inch, but it's a GPS map, so it draws more power. And then like the 12-inch screens out there, I usually don't recommend less than like the 52 amp hour because it's, such a high power draw. So use that chart on our site. You can always reach out to us. So the quickest way, is like we've got that live chat feature on our site. Even though our business hours are typically during the day, oftentimes, our staff will respond to a lot of questions there, even in evenings and after hours. So simple questions through there we can answer really quick and get back to people. Or if you have a gift and you're in Eastern Wisconsin or Wisconsin, come to the show this weekend and we can get you set up with a new battery and a really cool Amped Outdoors cloth bag that's reusable.
Nice.
That is awesome.
Yep.
And please correct me if I'm wrong, but if you come to the AMP booth, sometimes you have other fun things around like jigs and stuff. Will that be at this expo?
Yeah, we do jigs. So we're definitely not a jig company. We started off doing jigs, prior to batteries. It was kind of getting into the industry, knowing that we were going to do batteries, getting the website set up, and it just took off. Now we just do them at shows. We have a limited supply left. One great thing is that I know at this show we sell a lot of 3 and 4 millimeter jigs, and we've got a ton of that left. The larger jigs that we sell, like in Minnesota and in the Dakotas, the 5 and 6 millimeter are getting really, really scarce. So we offer some great deals on that. But I can tell you this show is going to be loaded full of a lot of jig suppliers. But so there'll definitely be plenty of options out there. But yeah, we'll have a table or two set up with some great deals on those.
Awesome.
Mhm.
And then I know that you are so kind that you have donated some batteries to the giveaway gang. And so Josh and
Yes.
I are going to be running around this coming weekend. And after everything we've talked about, somebody out there who attends might be a lucky winner.
Yeah, and they are the 30 amp hour batteries. I believe we did 19 amp hour last year, so it was our smaller one. Now we're going to be doing the big 30 amp hour, so something that you could use in forward facing sonar or shacks or whatever it happens to be. So yeah, so the larger battery this year. And yeah, you guys can be running around. I think giving out is that one a day that you do, or how does that? I'm not sure how that works. I think we
You
have
know
a
what?
total of 3 of them that we're giving up.
That sounds like a good way to go about
Yeah,
it.
probably. Maybe
Let's do
Emily
it.
will pick me. I'm just kidding. She can't because I have to hold the camera.
Yeah, so we'll
Um,
have some nice products that we're giving away, and I see there's quite a few others that are going to be part of the giveaway gang too. So I haven't seen any of the other. Yeah, well, obviously we're asked about it, so I haven't seen anybody else that are giving stuff away. But I know there's typically a lot of products. So
Yeah, we usually have a pretty good pile of stuff to good stuff to give away at the show. You guys are so generous, and it's such a fun thing. We try and pick out some
ice
cool
fishermen, I don't know,
ice
kids,
fishing
families,
kids. Yeah,
people, whoever's attending.
randoms. So
awesome.
there's no sign up for it besides just grabbing your ticket and coming in.
That is absolutely true.
So I take it I'm not eligible for any of those then, huh?
You know,
You never
No,
know.
it's all
I
good.
don't know if we ever gave one to a vendor before.
no.
No, you shouldn't. You shouldn't. No, there's a lot of other. I see like there's a lot of other tickets and stuff sold there. They give away. I mean, or have I don't know if it's a raffle or what they have, but yeah, there's a lot of them like that. And I don't see that really at many other shows. So that's kind of cool. I know we actually have a booth that we're donating like a 60 amp hour battery to. That they kind of do a fundraising thing. So
Mhm.
so yeah, there'll be a couple of other booths doing that stuff too. So yeah, it's definitely unique versus other shows. Like you don't see a whole lot of other shows giving away stuff like that. Um, so yeah, it's definitely unique compared to a lot of the others.
Well, and I really like your opinion on kind of the gift batteries. The two smallest ones are very versatile. Emily and I use ours all the time in power packs, like the ones that they'll have over at Ice Hole Power. And I know a lot of times during the show, people will either go to the Ice Hole Power booth, get their power pack, and then bring it over to your booth and see what battery they can fit, or vice versa.
Hmm.
And I think that's a really good option because I know Emily uses both of our power boxes during the summer so she can have, or during the fall, I guess, spring and fall, so
Just
she can have the
not both
heater
at the
pad.
same time.
No, just both in the boat. So when you use one up, then you
It
have the other
doesn't. The
one.
batteries last longer than that. That's what we just talked about this whole
Not
time. You're
not
just
when
throwing me under the bus
I'm not.
here.
What do you mean throwing you under the bus? You use the batteries
Yeah, that's true.
for a heater pad.
Yeah, that's true. I do. I do. I make my boat seat a heated seat.
There's
I'm
no
happy.
bus.
Yeah. No, yeah, ISO Power, yeah, they'll have our batteries at their booth. Forgot about that. So
Awesome.
yeah, I think that'll be kind of the two places. So they'll be selling them in their in basically their packs, and then we'll have batteries in our booth. I'm guessing Thorn Brothers will have some in their booth, but yeah, so that'll be the two places you could do it. Most of them will be at our booth, and we're just going to filter you through the Thorn Brothers line. I don't know if any other retailers are going to be carrying them. Just yeah, I'd have to take a look because I know the retailer list changes every single year. But yeah, I mean, if with in doubt, just swing by our booth. We can get you into the right product and then get you to the right retailer that'll have it in stock. So
Nice.
That is
yep,
awesome.
yep.
Well, Matt, thank you so much for being here this evening to chat with us
Yeah,
about all of this.
absolutely. It's always a pleasure. And yeah, if people have any questions, like I said, reach out to us or come to the show. We'll have a pretty good staff there. I'm excited for it, and Yeah, let's get this season going. Hopefully, and I don't have to wait until, usually it's mid January for me before I get out, and
Yeah.
I like to have good safe ice.
Yep.
I got to be that guy where if I'm not driving a, side by side or wheeler out, if it's not that type of ice, I'm not out. Maybe I'm just getting older. And yeah, but no, I'm pretty excited to go out. Hopefully a little bit earlier this year, and yeah, hopefully it's just a long extended season for everybody.
That is awesome. Yeah, we couldn't wish anything more than that. Yeah, that sounds so great.
Hmm.
But for people who are looking to maybe refill their stocks or get last minute things or, whatever that may be, the Ice Expo is going to be open this weekend in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. So we are looking forward to seeing everyone there. And I guess I was going to say we look forward to seeing everyone on the next edition, but I'm not sure if that'll be Thursday. That's yet to be determined. I don't know if we've even talked about that.
We
Mystery
haven't.
episode.
Mystery. So keep your notifications on, or we might be just chatting about something, but we don't have anything formally planned. But if you have those notifications on, then you'll see us all weekend at the expo.
All right. See everyone there.
See ya. Thank you.